God. I have changed my shirt like 8 times. Say something funny so that we have something for the blooper reel.
Like what?
I don't know. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new here, welcome as well. My name is Ashley and I run things here at Oak Crow Gal. And today we have a special guest. This is my husband, Cernan. And I've really been wanting to do a video with him for a while now. And the reasoning for that has multiple folds to it. I've noticed, especially as of recently, I recently went through like my YouTube subscriptions, and of the vloggers or like mom YouTubers that I watch, I enjoy the ones that have their husbands in their videos, whether they're vlogging or doing sit down videos or whatever. Because there are a handful that I watch where the husbands want nothing to do with it. And I just kind of like the idea of everyone getting to know my whole family. And that obviously includes my husband. So that's number one. Number two, my other kind of disclaimer to this is I knew I wanted to do this video, so I looked up like husband tag and like couples tags and like all this stuff. Okay.
This is the video that's gonna give us like 500 likes.
Okay. That's also why I'm
quadruple our subscription.
That's also why I'm doing it. But long story short, I found all these pages that had like different tags. I don't have the patience to watch other people's videos, so I just Googled it to find like lists. And the questions were just like, half the questions would be good and then half would be stupid or some of them would be corny. And so I kind of just like picked and chose like what I wanted and questions that I thought were interesting. So while it's technically gonna be like a husband tag video, I think that's what I'm gonna put in the title. These are questions about like our relationship. Some are like specifically about Cernan, and then kind of just other questions for you guys to get to know not only him, but also just like us as a couple. So it's kind of just like, it's kind of a mishmash. And honestly, I don't know how this is gonna go, but we're gonna do it and we're gonna do it. So
we're gonna try it.
He doesn't have a choice. So, okay. So the first question is, how did we meet? So I'm gonna like give these to Cernan, and then I'm me, so it'll end up being like a conversation. So the first question is, how did we meet?
How did we meet? So I was a manager at a movie theater, and Ashley was one of the employees there. So I was essentially her boss. And I know we're gonna go over like, you know, things about our relationship, but that's how we met. I kind of like a different story. Okay.
While that is true, how we initially met was before I even worked at the movie theater. My best friend worked there and she was close to him and they were good friends, and then she introduced me to him, and that's kind of how the whole thing got started. And then yes, he's not lying, but
details. Yeah,
initially how we met was like through a friend, and then like our friendship and stuff grew like once I got the job at the movie theater that he was a manager at. So that's how we met, and that was kind of goes into the next question. I was gonna say how many years ago that was. So how long have we been together and how long have we been married? So we've been married for math. We've been married for 7 years. Mm-hmm. And how long have we been together? 13 and a half. 13 years, you guys.
Our relationship is a teenager, essentially.
That's insane.
It's nuts.
It's shit like that makes me feel old. Especially when we just like sit around and talk about it, or when we talk about like how old we were at that time.
Yeah.
Like it's...
That picture you sent.
I'll see if I can insert it here.
Yeah,
my girlfriend's
nuts.
Wait. Oh, the one that was at my parents' house?
Yeah.
My parents were like redoing their garage, and they just have this like picture wall, like almost like a gallery wall now, where they posted a bunch of pictures. I'll put it in here if I can. And there's a picture of us, and we look like children. We look like babies, especially Cernan, because Cernan's 5 years older than me. So I'm 31 and Cernan's 36, and he looks like a baby in this picture, a baby. All right. So the next question, this is gonna be an interesting one. The next one is, how did our first date go and where was it?
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know the answer to this. I wrote it down because I wanted to see what he would say. I don't even know what our first date was.
I would almost classify our first kiss as also our first date? Because that goes into the next question.
Okay, I don't consider that our. I'd rather just say like we didn't have a first date.
We all of a sudden, like just
our relationship started very weirdly.
Yeah.
Do we want to go into that or? So, well, okay, we'll go into the first kiss first, and then we'll dive more in. See, I told you, it's gonna be like husband, but there's gonna be a lot of couple stuff in here too. I needed to be able to speak a little bit in this video. So I needed to make like questions we could both answer. Okay, I'm gonna let you take this one. How was our first kiss and where was it?
So our first kiss was in a parking lot by a Starbucks 30 minutes after you vomited out of my car. Yes.
Guys, I don't even, okay, I don't get embarrassed. I really don't get embarrassed. And it's not because I'm like, ugh, like, I don't give a shit. Like, I don't know. I just don't get embarrassed that easily. And honestly, even in the moment, like when this happened, I wasn't that embarrassed for whatever reason. I think just because like we were already pretty good friends and I just like, I didn't think anything of it. Like, I just didn't get embarrassed. Telling this story to people embarrasses me. And like my whole family knows this story and they chime in. Yeah, so what had happened was, I remember it like it was yesterday. I think it was even before we officially started dating. So it could have been close to like 14 years ago. I had eaten, I remember what it was. It was like a cream-based pasta dish that my mom had made. It was in the fridge, apparently for a little bit too long. And do you remember why we initially like got together that day? Like what you were showing me?
It was pictures from my New York trip.
So Sterling went on like an East Coast trip and he was like, let's go to Starbucks. Like, let's go to Starbucks. I'll show you the pictures from the trip. Like, I have so many good pictures, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, this is 14 years ago. It's before like Facebook and Instagram and stuff. So he literally had like his laptop with all of his pictures. And I was super jazzed. Anyway, I ate this horrible pasta. We went to Starbucks. I felt fine. Then we drove like 15 minutes and we were going to the beach like area. And and we went to another Starbucks, and on the way to that Starbucks, we weren't going to Starbucks, we were like on the way there. Yeah. I opened the door and literally while he was driving, I opened the door and puked. And the reason I say Starbucks is because I puked and then the closest thing to us was a Starbucks. So we pulled over.
It was a gas station.
Yeah, we pulled over in the Starbucks parking lot. I got a water, like I was fine. I only puked the one time, but it was like, I think you were going maybe like 30 miles an hour. And I don't even think I said anything. I think before that I had just said like, I feel kind of sick. Whipped the door open. Yeah,
I look over, I'm like, oh, she's puking. Let me pull into the Starbucks gas station to allow her to puke some more.
It's so disgusting. And then a half an hour later, we kissed for the first time. So gross. But that's how much we liked each other. We really liked each other. So anyways, back to like what he said earlier. That is not our first date, because that was a total like friend hangout, but like we knew leading up to that something was brewing. Like we knew something was happening. And so anyway, so that's that. Now we're gonna like completely take a left turn. Again, I have my list of questions and I just took questions that I thought would be interesting to you guys. So that's a little bit about us, how long we've been together, a little like piece of our story. Maybe later down the line, I'll do like a story time video as to like how our relationship got started and why it was different than a lot of other relationships. I think that would be a good story time video. That would be really good. Anyway, so the next question is, as a couple, how do we resolve problems? And the reason I included this question was because in like a lot of husband tag lists, there were a lot of like marriage questions, like name the qualities to a great marriage or whatever. And I thought a lot of the questions were dumb, but I thought this one was good. So how do you think we resolve problems? And then I'll chime in.
Yeah, I think we do a good job of resolving problems. And I think whenever there's an issue or we have an argument, we both get really heated, right?
Yes, I wouldn't say like
not like yelling
I
at
would
each
say
other,
passionate.
right?
Like
Yeah.
we both think that we're right.
Right. And then after some time we don't like storm off mad at each other. We get really passionate about what we're arguing about.
We're confident in like our side of
right. And then after some time we get back together and then we start to really talk about, you know, that issue or that problem and come up with a solution, you know, whatever that problem may be.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think I know it's like so cliche, but we have really good communication. Like and this is also cliche, but I don't give a shit. We're best friends. And so we communicate always about everything, even if maybe the way we're communicating is not like the best way, we're still getting it out and we're communicating with each other. And I totally agree. I think initially we both know how the other one is, which is that we're both passionate in like what we think in the moment about that issue. So it's kind of like take a break and then revisit it later. And I feel like that works for us. And then that kind of goes into the next question, which is, what do we argue about the most? And I'll preface this by saying, we don't argue. It's more of like, I don't even know what you would call it. I feel like argue just sounds like fight. Like, what do you fight about? But I guess like, what do we kind of like go back and forth about the most? What do you think? And then I'll say what I think. And be honest.
I think how we spend money. I think, yeah, definitely.
I was gonna say finances. I think that's what we argue about the most, especially now that since we've been back in San Diego. I mean, I just recently got a part-time job, but the last like year and a half, we went from having 2 incomes to 1. So when we were back in Seattle, I was still tutoring, Sterling was working, and when we moved here, we went down to 1 so that I could stay at home full time. And I feel like since then, yeah, if we're gonna argue about anything, which like I said, is pretty rare, it's gonna be about money. And it's gonna be about where it's going and why it's going there and what we have to spend on this month.
Prioritizing the things
that prioritizing, organizing, you know, on. budgeting. Yeah. What do you do for a living?
So I am a web development instructor. I teach people how to code. And before I did that, I was a financial advisor for 10 years. So about 2.5 years ago, I went through a coding boot camp and graduated and got hired by a startup to do work for them. And then, I don't know, about 2 or 3 months into that, the coding boot camp that I graduated from asked me to become an instructor for them. So I've been doing that for about almost 2 years now. And I work from home and it's been great.
This is not on the list, but it's something that I think that you should share with people. What would you tell someone that is in a job that they hate? From somebody that went from a job that initially he liked finance, he liked it, and then didn't like it, and is now in something that you love. What would your advice be to somebody that's in a job that they...
I'd say life is too short. Find your passion and go for it. So, I mean, and like Ashley said, I loved being a financial advisor, but towards the last, I don't know, 2.5 years, it really started to take a turn, and Ashley could see it, I could feel it. So I would always find myself coming home from work and learning how to code on my own and going on free sites to learn how to code. And I talked to Ashley about it and I said, you know what, I do need to make that change because I don't want to sacrifice my happiness, my health even, and my well-being for a job that I wasn't even enjoying or passionate about.
And as like the person on like the opposite side of that, like I was seeing him come home every day miserable. I was seeing him like not enjoying it anymore. And I think that's hard on a marriage because he was so unhappy. And not like he would take it out on me, but it's just when you see somebody that you love be unhappy, it's like, oh God, like it doesn't feel good. And so that's one thing I've always praised, I was gonna say him, but I guess he's sitting right here, you, for, is like, yeah, if you are not happy with something, especially, I think the bigger thing too is like, he was in that field for so long, and I'm sure a lot of you out there can relate, like when you're in something so long, even if you hate it, it's comfortable. So it's like you don't wanna go out of your comfort zone and find something new, but he did it and now he's just like loving life. And it's really neat too to see that that change and that kind of like switch in mentality, because it's like a domino effect. It just affects everything else in your life. So, so good job.
Learn how to code.
Good for you.
You don't like it.
All right. I feel like these questions, I feel like these questions are all over the place. But again, I just kind of wanted to give you guys like a mishmash. Like, I just wanted to give you kind of like a gamut of like how we are as a couple and other information. Anyway, so the point being, the next question is like, has nothing to do with what we were just talking about. Okay, we're gonna talk about weird habits.
Okay.
What's a weird habit I have, and then I'll tell you a weird habit you have.
Weird habit you have. Got one. Okay, so
I'm concerned.
when Ashley drives,
Oh,
no
I hear about this all the time.
what
13
shoe
years
she's
isn't long
wearing,
enough to drop
she
it.
always has to take off her shoe and maybe even sometimes her socks to drive. And I always have to comment like, why do you need to take your shoe off? That is a weird habit.
I only take off the shoe that, like my driving foot.
Yes.
Should I explain myself or just let it be?
Yeah, feel free to explain yourself.
When I first learned how to drive, like I went to a school where you could wear sandals and flip-flops and stuff. And the first time, not the first time, but when I initially learned how to drive, the first time that I ever drove with like a flip-flop on, I thought I was gonna get into a car accident because it's like the shoes flying off, like it's not secured around your ankle. So you're trying, like, I don't know, how I drive is I take my, what is it called? Heel into the ground, and I just like pivot from the brake to the accelerator, and I couldn't do that with the flip-flop. It just kept coming off. So it's actually safer for me to drive without a shoe on. And then,
but if you're on your heel, isn't the back of the flip-flop on the floor for you to pivot?
no, it's not when I drive.
What?
Not when I do it, it's like comes off of my foot. But yes, that is true. And twice when we used to work at the movie theater, I thought that my shoes were in the back of my car, so I just like drove to work, left the house because I don't drive with my shoes on, and I got to work and my shoes weren't in the car.
Weird habit.
Okay, a weird habit you have, I don't really, you pick at your face.
Yeah.
When he doesn't have a beard, he like picks the hairs, like when they start growing, he picks them out of his face, which
Manual
drives
tweezers.
me batshit insane.
Which is why I shaved my beard about 2 months ago, and she asked me to grow it back.
I did. I said.
I think it was because of the face picking.
You think it was because of that? All right, next, name something that I'm good at and something that I'm not good at. It can be like, I won't get offended. It could be anything.
I think you're really good at communicating with children. I think just because that's her background. She's worked in elementary school, so she knows how to communicate with them and not talk down to them like they're children. Talk to them like they're actual human beings, which they are. Yeah, I think you're really good at that. Something you're not good at?
I have a list in my own head with a bunch of things that I'm not good at. What have I been saying lately that I'm kind of... Well, say what you were gonna... You acted like you had something come to you.
I think you're not good at spontaneous plans. Like,
ooh, that's a good one.
Whenever I'm just like randomly, let's do this, and she's like, oh, but we didn't plan a week ago, you know, to do this thing.
And that's something that's really hard for me to admit, because believe it or not, like I want to be that person. Like I want to be the person that's like, let's go to here today. Let's go throw everything in the car and like pick up it. Like I want to be that person, because that, to me, that person is a fun person. But I think it has to do with the fact that I just get anxiety about that type of stuff. Like not being prepared gives me anxiety. Like not knowing where I'm going and what I need gives me, like, makes my heart race. So I think that's part of it, but that's a really good one. But something that I don't like to admit. If someone were to ask me, I would never say that because I don't want to admit that. I feel like something that you're good at is teaching. You're just, whether you're like teaching your students or whether you're like teaching my mom how to do something on her computer or talking to my dad about like finance stuff. Like I feel like Sternan's really good at explaining without making you feel like an idiot. Something that you're not good at. I don't know. You're perfect.
No.
I can't think of something that you're not good at. I really can't think of one. And I think most people that know Cernan also wouldn't be able to think of anything. Cernan's just kind of like a jack of all trades. Like, he's just good at everything. Anything that he sets his mind to, anything, he can just do it and he's good at it. So we'll just leave. How about you're not good at doing something not good?
No. That's not a good thing to not be good at.
Okay. What pisses you off? Do you guys like how I'm totally giving away the fact that I have sweatpants on?
What pisses me off?
Like, what makes you really angry?
That's a good one. I think just random thing is when you're at a mall or at a store, and you know what I'm gonna say, right?
The walkway, people
just stopping
not
in
walking
the middle,
in a walkway,
like to either check their phone or like just to talk to somebody and point somewhere. That I'm just like,
we say it all the time. We're like, it's a walkway. You should be walking.
Sometimes I get ahead of them and do the same thing to them. Sometimes.
That's not nice.
Just to give them a taste of their own medicine.
What is something that pisses me off?
I don't know if there's something that pisses you off. I mean, sometimes you have semi-road rage.
That's what I was, for mine, for like saying what actually pisses me off, I was gonna say that. I was gonna say bad drivers. Drives me insane. Anything. I don't care if it's like something crazy, like running a red light, or if it's like somebody zooming past me at like 90 on the freeway, or like someone going 15 on the freeway. It drives me insane. Insane. And that's actually what I was gonna say. And something that I think pisses you off. You're like the perfect human, so I don't like sports.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know, sports stuff, like
my fantasy team
when
well.
the Chargers lose, like, I feel like that's when you get the most, like emotionally pissed off about something. All right, and the last question, again, guess what? It has nothing to do with the previous one, but it's one that we get asked all the time, which is how many kids do we want?
I think 2. I think 2 is a good number.
Yeah, I think we've been settled on 2 for a while. I never want to say, like, you know, never say never. Like, I feel like 2 is a good number, and feel like you really change the dynamic and your workload when you go from 2 to 3, which might sound selfish, but it's true.
Yeah, speaking of
yeah,
that.
I was like, is that Daisy?
She doesn't want a second one.
Yeah, she definitely doesn't want a third. So that's kind of where we are now, is that we would want 2, and we've also always said like 5 years is our max age difference. I think we're gonna start trying, well, we had said we're gonna start trying when Daisy's 2, but that's like really soon, so I don't know. We might wait a little bit longer. But do you have anything else you want to contribute to this video? I hope this came out okay. Guys, I just really, I know that they're all over the place, but some of these questions that were in these lists were just so stupid. And I went through like 4 or 5 different tag lists and just picked out the ones that I wanted. And so anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope that you liked it. I hope that it was just like, kind of gave you like a piece of like the pie of like us as a couple and us as a family. And we're definitely gonna do more videos in the future. I think I'm gonna start doing a couple story time videos too, because I feel like that would be really fun, and I really like talking to the camera.
If you have any more questions, feel free to either comment.
Yeah, put them down below. Give this video a thumbs up so that we know if you liked it. please don't give it a thumbs down. That would really depress me. If like my grocery hauls get a thumbs down, it's whatever. But like if this video gets a thumbs down, I'm gonna murder someone. Anyway, make sure that you like this video and give it a thumbs up, that you subscribe if you're not subscribed, and that you hit that notification bell so that every time that I post, you guys are made aware of it. We will definitely be back in a future video, but for now, we'll say goodbye. Bye, friends.
See ya.